Hey, 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 hey. What's happening? Harvest Church International. What's happening? Facebook. How is everybody doing on this evening? I am extremely pumped and excited to be with you on this evening. Just do me a favor, hit the share button, hit the like button, share this broadcast, inbox it to your family, inbox it to your friends. Tonight will be an encounter like nobody else has experienced on this evening. So I am definitely excited to be with you on this evening as we continue uh, in this stead uh, as far as looking at faith is concerned. Now, my apologies for noonday this evening. We didn't have noonday. Um, I was able to uh, work on a couple of things and get some rest on a couple of things as well. Hopefully, you all are being productive. I didn't say like the time that has been presented to you, but you're being productive with the time. So go ahead, share the video, share, just hit the share button. Share it to your friends, share it to their profile, share it with your profile. And so tonight, I want to continue with something that we started with, talking about faith, because what I want to do is bring you an understanding of what faith is. Because here's the thing, the ability to define is the ability to fulfill. And a lot of people, the reason that they cannot walk in faith is because they have not been able to define faith. So you and I that have been a part of this ministry for quite some time, you and I, based upon the past teachings, are able to define it. So let's just officially welcome everybody tonight to Wednesday Night Live, Eagles Night Online. We are so excited for you to be here. Definitely share in the comment section. We can see what your comments are, whether in your comments, your hearts, your thumbs up, your likes, your laughters, whatever emotion fits the part at that particular time. The comment part, if you have any questions, or you can just type in an amen, which means amen, like yes, indeed, I agree. Yes, indeed. So we're talking about the importance of you and I knowing faith, but the importance of you and I walking in faith. And when I began to assess this time that caught most of us off guard, well, let's just be truthful, they caught all of us off guard, but it didn't catch God off guard. Let me say that again. It might have caught us off guard, but it didn't count God off guard. So now, if it didn't catch him off guard, we need to be rolling with what he's already said. I'm going to say it again, rolling with what he already said and rolling with what you have been getting in this particular season, and so forth. So let's look at this. The first important thing that we have to understand is preparation. Shout preparation. Shout, I am preparing. Shout, I am prepared. Preparation is the first part of this, because in this particular season, my challenge to believers, but my challenge to men, is to be able to build and develop your family in this particular time so that they don't walk in fear, because that is the job that God has given us as believers. We're supposed to do that. We're at Genesis chapter 18. God said, I chose Abram because I know that he would instruct his house in righteousness, and not just his house, but his children and their children in righteousness. So there's a preparation that comes with instructions. And so here's the thing that I've always stated and said: the words that we've heard, all of the series teachings that I did last year, all of the ones I did the year before, and the ones I did in the month of January and February, those are the lessons that you should be holding on to, because those were the lessons that prepared you to build. Like right now, I did and I don't have any in front of me, but that's fine. But the Relaunch Your Vision Planner, I didn't know, but that's an ideal tool to be able to use while we're sitting down. Because see, most people don't work on vision because we're too busy running back to and fro. We're gone. Now we can't go nowhere. We're sitting here. We can only go to the market and get some food, is what we can do, and some other things. So now, as opposed to giving all of our time to Netflix and Hulu and Xfinity and news and everything of that particular nature, it's an opportune time for us to work on our vision, work on bringing clarity. We said it's going to be manifested vision. Wow, this is the great opportunity to sit down and to see the things that's going to cause us to manifest. And so here was the charge. The charge was given to the man. God says, I chose Abram because I knew Abram would instruct his household. Man, number one, we are responsible. We don't just we control the thermostat in our home to see whether or not our home is in faith or whether or not our home is in fear. So we determine what our home is in, but God has instructed us, like he instructed Abram, to be able to share with your home. Give your home the direction that you're going. Give your home the budget that you might have to go forward with now. Give your home whatever is desired or needed. God has commanded us to do that. It wasn't just about, it's not just about the definition that the world has given as a man, while some of that is inclusive, but that is not definitive as far as the definition that God's given us as a man. A man, number one, is supposed to provide the vision. Watch this. When he provides the vision, and I don't know, God's moving this a little bit, that God will give the provision. I'm going to say that again. The man was designed to receive the download from God. Now, when he receives the download from God, he has a voice that he becomes familiar with, the voice of God. And so when he receives the download from God, that download now goes into him, and it is his responsibility to now begin to download the family, download into the wife, or download and then download into the children. It is his responsibility to be able to do that. I said, well, how do you know it's his responsibility? Well, if we look in the beginning, we look when God created Adam. Watch this. He literally gave Adam, he blew into Adam everything that he possessed. Now, here's what happened. Adam's daily communion was with God. That was his daily communion. It was with God. And because that was his daily communion with God, now when the serpent doesn't show up where the daily download happens, it shows up where he was absent of downloading it into Mrs. Adam. And so what happened is when Adam was beguiled, deceived, and ate of the fruit, and God went looking for him in the garden in the cool of the day, he says, Adam, where are you? And Adam said, I was naked and I was ashamed. Now listen to what God says to him. He didn't deny that he was naked, but here's what God said. Who told you you were naked? That's what God said to Adam. Who told you that you were naked? And that's the charge I would give to some of these men. Who told you some of the stuff that you got? Who told you the stuff you got in the barbershop? Who told you that that was factual? Who told you that that was truth? Who told you that that was what you were supposed to be building your family on? So here's what God was saying to him. Whose voice did you trust more than my voice? I'm going to say that one more time. God was asking him, whose voice Did you trust more than my voice? Now is a great opportunity to sit down and revisit the vision. We don't have anywhere to go. Revisit the vision. Let's bring clarity to the vision. Let's make the vision plain. Let's write it out so that when we come out of this, because I'm telling you, we're going to come out of this a lot stronger than this thing happened. We're going to come out of this a lot better than this thing happened. And some people some people have been all over the place, and I'm not going with the whole thing about being over the place, because here's the thing I've learned. Forget what happened now. What's the lesson that we're supposed to take from this? What is the lesson that we're supposed to take from this? Okay, now one of the lessons that I saw, a few lessons that we're supposed to get out of this. How strong are we in our faith? Do we have a vision? Hey, Florida in the house. Do we have a vision, or do we have faith for the vision that God has given us? Because now just Corona doesn't change the vision. We just have to have faith and see Corona as the distraction. But Corona could be any distraction. It could be family that's distraction. It could be people that are distraction. What are people that are distracting you from what God has spoken to you specifically? So where does that come from? Okay, there's a voice that you should be listening to, and that voice really is attached to the voice of God, and the words that come from God is who you should be listening to. Now, I give you an example. I'm a pastor, but I'm like the scripture. I'm a man in authority and under authority. I tell a person to go, and that person does. I tell another person to go. So I'm a man of God who submitted to a man of God, but I understood that I had value for what was coming from my man of God, because a lot of the things that my man of God said prepared me to pastor in this season that I might not have been prepared for. Glory to God. So here's the thing. The vision hasn't changed. I know that this is not what we were looking for. I said early in the year, this was going to be the roaring 20s. I'm not off of that vision. It's still going to be the roaring 20s as far as I'm concerned. Why? Because that's what God said. The storm doesn't change the word will change the storm. And so that's why men have to be steering their homes correctly so that they hear the voice of God and they are connected to the voice of God. So now get this. He says to Adam, who told you? Who told you you were naked? Okay, watch this. Who told you you were broke? Who told you you were sick? Who told you you was crazy? Who told you that? Who told you that? And so I want you to reassess, where am I eating at? Where am I eating from? What am I eating at? I tell you, one of the things that's probably happened for a lot of people is that we've eaten at home during Corona more than any time we've eaten at home in quite some time. Now, thank God, people talk about they ain't gonna get fluffy. You have to exercise, because this eating at home is good eating. But here's the thing. We should have been sitting at the table and spending time with the family and sharing vision long before we had to do it, because now they put executive orders in place and tell us to stay in the house. Okay, your vision, what you're doing, you should have been doing a long time ago. What have you written down, disseminated to your family, and say, I think we need to be working on this. I think we need to revisit this. I think we need to look at this, and ask them, what do you see? And then now when you're asking them, what do you see? You're saying to them, I want you to look with your spiritual eyes and begin to tell me the things that you see. Now, when you see it spiritually, they've not manifested yet. Because see, a lot of times we only go by what's manifested as what we see. But in faith, we see the invisible. We don't see the visible. When things are made manifest, we no longer need faith for it. An example, I'm sitting here in front of this computer that I have, and while I was doing some conversions from Windows to Mac, I wanted to get a Mac that was, brand new and had everything on it like the new ones did. But I've invested so much money that I didn't want to pay a lot. So I said, well, Lord, I thank you in advance that I'm going to get a Mac and it's going to be almost like somebody gave it to me. And that was my confession. That was my confession. Now watch this. And guess what happened? I was able to get a $1,500 computer that I paid $159 for. God talked to the man. I don't know what happened. There wasn't nothing wrong with it or anything like that. What happened? Once the thing came to my house, I no longer had to use my faith for it. Once it was delivered, I no longer had to use my faith for it. There are things that you see in your home. There are things that you see in your life. You no longer have to use your faith for what you see. Now you need to use your faith for what you don't see, because what you don't see is in the invisible, and we need to move it to the visible, because that's how we move the unseen into the seen. But where does it start with? The download. Who are you receiving your downloads from? Who are you hearing? What voice is bigger to you than the voice of God, the voice of He, Him, Holy Spirit right now? What voice is bigger than that? So the biggest thing is preparation. So when Adam was deceived, and I don't even want to call it that, because this was really up to him. When Mrs. Adam came to Adam with what the devil said, he was equipped to knock that down. He was equipped to knock it down. But the influence of this new toy he got, because he got a woman. She don't look like the animals. She look good. He said, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. I'll call a woman. He said, the other things God made and presented to me, and I named them. But when God wanted to make something for me, he took it out of me and asked me. He said, now name it. And I said, oh, this is woman. She is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Oh, yeah, boy, I like this guy. So what happens is that influence that came from her, he was supposed to equip her to knock down Satan's device, but he was infatuated with this new toy called woman that he had, that he negated the assignment, which was to instruct his household. So men, some of the times the stuff that we didn't see, we have to ask ourselves, are we equipped to instruct, and have we instructed our household? Now, here's the thing. Preparation. Number one, you got to be prepared. Shout, I'm prepared. Now, in Mark chapter 4, verse number 13, and I'll share out of that, and I'll share out of the New King James concerning that. In verse 13, and he said to them, do you not understand this parable? How then will you understand all parables? He goes into talking about the parable. He says, the sower sows the word. Now get this. I said to myself, I'm not just a pastor. I'm not a teacher. I'm a sower. Why? Because that's what you're going to get from me, the word. So the sower sows the word. And these are the ones by the wayside where the word is sown. When they hear, watch this. When you hear the word, Satan knows the value of your preparation. He knows the value more than we know the value. Well, where does that go at? In verse number 15. These are the ones. That's the first one he talked about. These are the ones by the wayside where the word is sown. And when they hear, get this, Satan comes immediately. He doesn't come next week. Why? He's interfering with your preparation. He knows that if I can steal that word from this person, that person will never develop in faith the way that God has designed for them to develop in faith. So number one, and when people say this to me, I don't need to go to church because we are the church. And okay, you're not getting a disagreement from that, but you are incomplete with that, because you should be able to receive instructions. And if you're not in a place of receiving instructions, because that's Hebrews 10:25, when it says, forsake not the assembling of ourselves together as believers, as it was their custom, it says that they came together for instructions and worship. Now, that word worship is not the singing. That word worship is obedience to the word. So they come together for instructions and to carry out the obedience to the instructions that they're hearing. So if you've not gathered yourself around a set voice, you're missing out on instructions. And some of us got too many voices. We got 1,000 voices speaking to us, and that's why we don't have any clarity. And so what happens is, and that's not a knock, it's just that you got to find the voice that's designed to elevate your life and elevate your living. So Satan comes immediately and takes away the word that was sown in their heart. Do you see his device? Satan wants to take the word away that was given to you. Now, if he wants to take the word away that was given to you, how many of us know he don't want us to get that word in the first place? And so maybe some of your absenteeisms and some of the stuff that you've missed out on is because it's a word he didn't want you to receive. And so I don't want individuals to treat Corona like they treated 9/11. After 9/11 was over, the church was full the next Sunday, the Sunday after that, the Sunday after that. But after that, it tapered back off. The people that needed God, they just needed him for that time, and they just moved on, is what they did. We are declaring and decreeing that that's not what's going to happen this time, that those of us that are in the body of Christ are going to lead the way about being secure and needing God for this next level of living and this next step. Now, here's verse 16. It says, these likewise are the ones that are sown on stony ground, and the ground represents the heart. When they hear the word, they immediately receive it with gladness. There's some people, I think we called it bucking back in the days. You know, there's some people, yes, sir, amen, brother preacher. You say it again. You say it again. Okay, just because you're saying that, does that mean you receive the word? You might be glad about what you're hearing, because here's how you can do the determination. Here's how you can do the determination. That if correction comes versus a prophecy that you're going to get more money, the prophecy, you get more money and more house, you receive that. Oh, yes, amen, brother preacher. You preach on. But you get one for correction. I don't receive that. He put his pants on the same way I put mine on. You don't know that. Now, I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm saying that there should be a consistency in the voice that you hear. Don't rebuke the voice of correction and only receive the voice of stuff. So here's the thing that happens. 17, and these are they receive with gladness. They have no root in themselves, and so endure but for only a time. Afterward, when tribulation or persecution arises for the word's sake. People think that just means tribulation or persecution, period. No, it's very specific. For the sake of the word that you're being persecuted, for the sake of the word, you being a believer. The Bible says immediately they stumble. Now, these are the ones sown among thorns. They are the ones who hear the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches and the desires of other things entering in choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. But these are the ones that sown on good ground, those who hear the word, accept it, bear fruit, some 30, some 60, and some 100-fold. Do you see that? It says those that receive it with gladness. Listen, I receive correction with the same amount of gladness that I receive promotion, because correction is a means to promotion. I'm going to say it one more time. Correction is a means to promotion. This is all a part of the faith process, is what this is a part of. You and I walk by faith and not by sight, which means that you and I are so used to believing what we don't see, because we know that we're transacting business from the invisible and bringing it over to the visible. I remember years ago that when we looked in the spot that we're worshiping in now, we look in the spot, and forgive me, y'all, just a little part, just a little warm in my office because I got heaters on. And we went and looked in the spot, And when I went and looked in there, I saw what God wanted me to see versus what I looked at. Because all I saw was one chair, two posts on this ad. And I said, no, I see what God wants me to see. Even when I took my wife in to see the spot, and she said, man, this man believes in God so badly, he sees something I don't even see. But when I bought in, watch this, I bought in the person that was going to do the work. I explained to him what I want. I learned how to, I had clarity for my vision, so I knew how to share my vision. That's why in this opportunity, you have to get clarity for your vision, because you'll know how to share your vision when it's clear. So I was able to share with him what I desired and what I wanted. And so he did a blueprint. Once we did the blueprint, he told me how much material I would need. He told me how much wood, even down to the nails. He told me everything I would need. See, that's the thing why you have to be clear with your vision, because the person that can help you build this next level that God has for you, they need clarity, because they know how many nails you're gonna need, they know how many sheetrock you're gonna need, they know how much plyboard, they know how much paint, they know how much spackle, they know every little detail of what you need. But you have to have clarity to your vision, so when you begin to share your vision with those who are designed to help you, they will say, okay, I got what you want to build, and they can build what's in your heart, because you were able to bring clarity of the vision that God has for your life and your heart. And you won't let other people waste your time because they don't have your heart concerning what you are trying to build. Shout, I got a big vision. I got a big vision. Now, if y'all have any questions, be filled, because I'm seeing what's going on in the chat. I can see what's going on in the chat. Now, here's the thing that I've always stated or said, that I believe that what we're building is bigger than anything that we've seen. And we can't live life in the same vein or manner that we lived before COVID-19. I believe I believe even though it didn't come from God, I believe there's a holy disruption that's taking place, so that we can't live in our faith like we did. We can't live in our fellowship like we did. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait to start hugging people again. People say, what? People ain't gonna hug no more. Well, I'm gonna hug people. I'm gonna keep confessing and believing God over my body like I've done before. And because I'm gonna confess and believe it, I'm gonna just give them a big hug. I need to hug my own self. And what I miss, because a shepherd loves to smell like the sheep and misses the contact with the sheep. And so even in this time, I know what we have to do to be safe, but I know what we were built to do, and that was fellowship. That was needing one another. And so because that's how we were built, I'm ready to come out of this. Not only with that, I'm finishing up my second book since COVID-19 came on the scene. And because I'm sitting up here talking about this, I got a certificate coming, because I took a course last week. Is what I did. I took a course on last Saturday. The course was 9 hours. I sat in front of a computer 9 hours. Now, I promise you, I ain't gonna tell you I was pumped at the end of it. I promise you, I was so tired. I told my family, I tapped out. I'm going to bed. Why? I mean, it was 9 hours. I ain't had nothing else to do. Couldn't go nowhere from the start to finish. So my question for you is, because you got to sit down. Now, what have you sat down and begin to work on that comes from God, and begin to weed out what came from us? I'm going to say it again. Have we sat down and weeded out the stuff that came from us, and begin to work on the stuff that came from God? Shout, it came from God. Now, here's something that I believe that's so important in Matthew 24 and 25, because instructions are the key. Instructions are the key. And how you receive instructions will determine how high you get. I'm going to say it one more time. how you receive instructions will determine how high you can get. Now get this, instructions, because that's what your vision is. Your vision is instructions that come from God. That's what they are. It's the manual how you're supposed to be living. It's the manual. And so sometimes we got to refer back to the manual. Now, it puts me in mind of what, I did as a man. I'll speak to myself, but what men do. Most men on here, tell the truth. Most of the time we got to put stuff up. We let pride get in the way and we don't read the instructions. No, a lot of times I ain't read it. I just take all the stuff out and try to figure it out on my own without realizing that the instructions were designed to cut off time wasting in my life and frustration in my life. That's what the instructions were for. And so that's how the kingdom of God works, is his way of doing things and being right. That's why we got to get his way and not get our way. So in Matthew 25 and 14, I want to share this because this is something that God has so impressed upon my heart, especially in a day and time I'm looking at, because a lot of people are making comments, but they don't have any instructions. And it's not a knock on them. It's just an encouragement for them to receive instructions first before having an opinion. Now look at this. Verse number 14 in Matthew 25, it says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. Immediately he went on a journey. Then he who had received 5 talents went and traded with them and made another 5 talents. And likewise, he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he that received 1 dug in the ground and hid the Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them." Now, here's the part that I've asked individuals. If the Lord comes to settle with you, are you ready to settle with him? And then here's number 2, because you value preparation, what will you hear? What will you hear? Now in verse 20, it says, "So he who received 5 talents came and bought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Now here's the thing. Whatever God delivers to you, he instructs you for before you even get it. Before it gets in your hand, he's already put the instructions in your heart on what to do with it. So there are things that I possess that he already put the instructions in my heart. And that's why I don't worship things, because I got the instructions in my heart on what to do with his stuff, because I'm just a steward. I'm a manager of his stuff. And that's how I got to see this whole thing. And so here's what he said. He says, look, I've gained 5 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, watch this, well done, good and faithful servant. You are faithful over a few things. I will make you rule over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. He also, who had received 2 talents, came and said, Lord, who delivered to me 2 talents, and look, I have gained 2 more talents beside them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you rule over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew. See, that's a person who did not get instructions. They did not get it. They got instructions, but they saw it their way. And that's what's happening in our day and time. People are absent during the instructional period. They are absent. And because if you're absent during the instructional period, you'll make up your own set of rules and instructions, and then you'll make an excuse when you don't see the harvest. He says, you're a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. He says, I was afraid and went and hid your talent or money in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming, I could have received back with my own interest. He says, therefore, take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. Why does he take it? Because the one that had 10 valued the preparation. It valued the pre-work. It valued the prep work more than the stuff. And so he says, I'm going to give it to the person who values instructions. Now, why does that become important? I need you to be that person in this day and time that value instructions, so you can use this time to begin to get clarity with your vision, get clarity with your instructions. Why? Because what he spoke in January, he's not getting off of that. What he's promised, he's not getting off of that. I believe that he will use this to accelerate what he said to those that will obey his instructions. Now, here's why I wanted to share that verse, because when we use our faith, here's what we live for. We live to hear well done. And I don't hear enough believers sharing that or saying that being their sentiment. We live to hear well done. That's all we live for. And if we're doing it for any other reason to hear well done, then that harvest will belong to us. But if we doing it to hear well done, that's the one that God will blow up. That's the one that God will make fruitful. That's the one that God will multiply, because we have said well done. And so these instructions, even during this time, these instructions are going to be so doggone valuable during these instructions that you and I have to be sensitive in our hearing to the voice of God, because this step will accelerate us. It's almost like we'll step out on a board and shoo, then we're going to see an end suddenly in our lives. Why? Because all I just want to hear him say is well done. At the end of it, whenever he gives me an assignment, I just want to hear him say well done. When he puts money in my hands, I just want to hear him say well done. That's all I want to hear. Did I do with his stuff what he said I should have been doing with it? Well done. And so this word that you're getting, you are the keepers of this word. You are the guardians of this word. You are the ones that are the protectors of this word. And God didn't just give it to me. He gave it to you because these are words that he wants you to share with others. Why? Because when stuff hits again, this is a test run. When stuff hits again, it's the non-believer that's going to believe in what you said to get to where they're going. It's the same thing when Jesus left the madman of Gadarus. He left him. That was the man in the graveyard in Mark chapter 5. He was a man in the graveyard in Mark chapter 5. And Jesus said, you stay here and you teach. What? Teach faith. You stay here and you don't just teach it. I want you to be the demonstration of it. Because people knew what you used to look like. People knew where you used to be. They see you now clothed and in your right mind sharing the gospel. And because he did that, the woman with an issue of blood had faith. Why? Because she heard a man teach faith, but she watched him demonstrate it. Jairus, the ruler of the synagogue, heard a man teach faith and saw him demonstrate it. And so when Jesus came back, they were in expectation to receive what they had received in faith, because Jesus came back. You are a modern day example for the return of the Lord. And because you are a modern day example for the return of the Lord, it is so people can see the faith that you have operated in, the faith that you had walked in. I post stuff intentionally about this stuff going away, leaving, and so forth. And every time people report stuff, that's why I said I'm self-quarantining from news, because and I pray for the people that have lost loved ones during this. I pray for them consistently. But there are some people that's all they do is they post every time someone expires, they're posting the new numbers. I'm like, let's talk about the people that got healed, not nullifying the people who perish. Let's talk about the number of people that got healed. Or let's start making faith confessions, putting God out on the line, that he's a healer, that we walk in divine health. And I had someone post when I said one thing, they asked the question. See, I know how to come for clappers, people to try to throw shade. They said, well, how's that working for you? I said, it's working wonderful. It always has. I don't live by what I see. And I'm prepared for that. I'm prepared for that. But we all have to be prepared for that, because this thing is about a faith walk. He is preparing us. Him teaching the disciples on faith in Mark chapter 4 was preparation for ministry. Me teaching you on faith in this year of manifested vision is preparation so that you can bring some big things to pass. And I believe, I receive, we have what we say. Because here is the last thing, and I'll share this, and if you all have any questions, please feel free to type them in the comments. I can see them. But here's the thing that I saw that was so paramount, that I was like, wow, that God revealed to me. God said, he started talking to me over 3 years ago about my health. Because over 3 years ago, I was in extremely poor health, and it showed in my body, man. So I'm in, and he began speaking. A word came from my pastor about, we got to get this thing together. Someone else says, hey, I'm going to help you do something. And then I said, okay, I got to do the work and put the work in. Now, I didn't realize that them sharing with me over in 2017 concerning my health. My whole thing is for people like, leave me alone. I love myself. Yeah, but there's a difference. You can love yourself and not love yourself by not taking care of your body. And so it was now knowing that I had to walk in divine health. Now, why? I didn't see the total relevance. I know what we always say, thou shalt not die, but live to declare the works of the Lord. But I understand something bigger than that now, that those, and I walked in that, those who have a compromised immune system were more vulnerable to the COVID-19 virus. And so I said, wow, God used men of influence, women of influence, to literally protect me from this day that we're in right now. I did it because I got tired of being where I was, but I couldn't have been that tired because I had been in bad health for quite some times. But now I walk in optimal health and doing what I have to do. And now my life is preserved. My immune system is built up and my body is protected because I heard some instructions in another season and another day. And those instructions, doggone, have saved my doggone life, because I could be a candidate being in poor health for what's going on. And I could have confessed all I wanted. But I now know that the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart are acceptable in his sight. And so now that's what we walk in. And that's why you and I, we don't know this next season. You don't, because even for being wealthy, you got to be prepared to be wealthy. For being whole, you got to prepare. You got to let go of all that stuff that happened to you. Why? Because if you meet somebody and they upset you one time, you can walk away from the person that's designed to take your life to another level and bless you, because you hadn't worked on the offense yet. So now it's the preparation. We have to, when it comes to faith, we realize that every moment of instruction is about preparation. Every moment is about preparation. And so I want you to begin to continually bring clarity to your vision, so you can bring clarity to your family, so you can bring clarity to your life. And like I say on Wednesday nights, I'm out of time. So can you give the Lord a hand on this evening? You can type little claps or however you do that thing. I'm working on a little bit of a delay because of how the system works. But if you have any questions or comments, please drop them down in there. We have a total of between 5 to 15 minutes that we have left, that I preserved on the clock just for you, just in case you have any questions. I want to drop some comments inside of the section. I will be glad to either answer them, or someone, here's the beauty about these comments, or someone else may have your answer and they could comment back to you. This is a way that we gather and connect. I'm trying to figure out. There's a couple of things I want to do. Since we this year we're gonna have Easter online. I've been asking God for some instructions on how to do this thing, but we're gonna get it done. There's some stuff I'm trying to work on, but we're gonna get that thing done. As far as doing that, about having Easter online. But there's some other things that I want to work on. I want to have like a Zoom pajama party without the pajamas. Well, I mean, I just want all our partners to gather up on Zoom one night so we can see each other, talk to each other. Let's laugh, let's sing, let's encourage one another, let's see one another. I know it hadn't been a long time, but anything over a week is a long time for me. I know when I miss 1 week, I miss y'all. I'm like, I can't wait to see my partners. But so if you got anything, thank you all for the claps in the hands. You got anything you want to ask or add, please take the opportunity now to do so. If you don't want to answer it in this platform, please messenger me on Facebook, and I'll do my best, because I've been trying to work in there. That's why I tell people stop sending the junk to my inbox so that I can actually read the stuff that's in there. So thank you all. Thank you all. So y'all have any more questions? You definitely can share this afterwards with individuals. You can share this because it's just a blessing to be a part of what God has desired from us, or what God desires for us to do. Okay, so there while anybody may be having questions on here, let me go back here and I see if any questions. Okay, I didn't see any questions, and so listen, we're gonna keep you updated. We'll share some stuff in the text. We'll share some stuff in the group. You got something you want to share with me? Those that have my number, call me, text me, and let me know. We set aside a time to call, because I still get up and do business like I've done business before Corona. Corona has not upset the way I've done business. It's just upset where I do it at. That's all. So listen, I just want to share with you this ministry. This ministry is great ground, and it's been your continued support of this ministry in times past that allow us to affect the lives that we have affected, allow us to carry out the gospel in the way that we have, and allow us to stay in contact with the believers, allow us to assist. We've done a lot of magnificent things in times past, but here's the thing that God shared with me and showed me, that we can't do it without you and your partnership. We can't do it without you and your seed is what we can't do it with. And so we've set up ways for you to give. There are multiple ways to give. You can go to our website, www.harvestci.com. You can click on online giving. We have ways to give via debit or credit card. You can give on Givelify app, Harvest Church International, for those that have located it. You can also give on Tithely app, Harvest Church International. All of these are on our website. And then last but not least, because the team had me come up into the 21st century, the church has a Cash App, and it is also on our webpage, but the cash tag is Harvest CI is a cash tag. And those are the multiple ways that you could have to make your exchange deposit, return into the ministry for the word that you received on tonight. Because what I have done personally, and I just heard you, I have pissed Satan off. Did you say what you said? Yeah, I've pissed him off, because when you don't go anywhere, sometimes we give less when we don't go anywhere. But let me tell you something. I've turned this thing up. I sow. My sowing has gone up. And I'm not saying it to get anything from you. I'm talking about my faith. My faith is what's kicking into action with this. And so I've done that in our ministry. I've done that with my pastor. I've done that with their ministry. When he goes live, I sow like I'm sitting there. Why? Because that's what I would have been doing if I was sitting there. So I'm sowing it. I'm acting as if nothing has changed, is what I'm doing. And so that's just a great way to look at tonight. We act as if nothing has changed. And whatever God has laid upon your heart, you do it for whatever amount that God has is speaking to you on your behalf. I know what we have been committed to do in the time past, and Corona is not going to upset. Why? Because my seed provides for me, my seed protects me, and my seed covers me. It does all those things. That's what my seed does. And then 2 Corinthians 9 says he'll give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. So listen, I love you guys. You can go to the website. Let's see if we have any more comments. Oh, yeah, I love the Lord. Give me my phone. Such a time as this. Yeah, we're going to do, let me tell you something. We're going to do some stuff. Satan is in your ear about he in the wrong person's ear. It's too much faith in you, and you won't be listening to him. He talking, but you ain't listening. You know how the small children do? Children always get loud, or they cover their ears up like, I'm not listening. Well, every time you exercise your faith, that's what you're saying to Satan. I ain't listening. I'm not listening. God's giving me instructions. I'm going to carry out his instructions because Adam could only carry out with everything that God has gave him. If God's asked you for something, he's already given you everything you need for that. So, okay. Any final announcements, sounding board? Ariel, Natasha, is there anything that you would like to put into the chat, or anybody else, some instructions for the Harvest family, or anybody else is on here? Definitely let me know. Text me and let me know you're doing it before I close. Definitely. So listen, I love you guys, and I promise you I can't wait to hug up on all of y'all. And y'all might get a bear hug or something like that is what y'all might get. Ain't nobody got no corona. And I miss my people. I miss my people. So and I know y'all God's people, but I miss y'all. I miss y'all immensely. Thank you all very much. I love you guys. Okay, they tell me that I'm good. I always wait for them to tell me. Okay, Ariel, what about you? You got anything that I could have missed? She typed the hashtag inside of there, or ways that you've always given. Listen, okay. Thank you all for joining us. Yeah, virtual Easter service. We're gonna have it this Sunday. We having virtual palm service. So here's how we do. Palms up. We're gonna come into this palms up. And I don't know, I might do Sunday, Palm Sunday, and include some of y'all on the Zoom, because I want people to see us with palms up. I don't know, I'll talk to them about that. That's stuff that come into my heart, and it's just an opportunity for us to get up and get dressed like we're going to church on Sunday, and so we can actually go to church on Sunday. Listen, I love you guys. You guys have a tremendous evening in the Lord. Be sure to share this broadcast with others. I love y'all. Remember 3 John 2 says, above all things, he wished that we prosper and be in health, even as our soul prospers. John 10:10 declared that Jesus came so that we could have life, and have life more abundantly. That's why at the Harvest, we do life and not church. Love you guys. Bye-bye.